Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Cathy Song, the author of many poetry books, including Picture Bride, Cloud Moving Hands, The Land of Bliss, School Figures, and Frameless Windows, Squares of Light. She is the author of a collection of short stories, All the Love in the World, and she is co-editor of Yopo, Korean American Writing in Hawaii. She is the recipient of several awards, including the Yale Series of Younger Poets Award, Shelley Memorial Award from the Poetry Society of America, Elliott Cades Award for Literature, and a leader of workshops through Hawaii's Poets in the Schools program. Cathy Song shares an exercise on how to escape writer's block, gives advice on publication, and reads poems that include a son's vision of a Chinese heaven and a family leaving the pineapple fields. Join us in a space for creativity. Welcome to the Reading Room.
She didn't quite know how to say it, but it was like, I really like coming over, Grandma, so can you keep staying around so I can keep coming over? I mean, there was a bit of a 4-year-old's self-interest in that, but there was still this idea that it was precious to her.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I love that. Oh, I love when you talk about, family and generations. And also, I notice, in your poetry and in your stories, there's this theme of family and identity. And so.
I guess it was really natural, because when we lived in Waiawa, my Korean grandparents, they lived in the house in the back. So again, it's that access to that other world, that other generation, that other kind of wisdom that I really appreciate now.
Oh my goodness, I love that. If you were to describe your work, how would you explain, what do you write about?
I think my early work was really about that kind of family tradition, the generation. I don't know, I think at an early age I realized it was really a precious thing, to use that word again, but also I don't know, maybe it was trying to recover something because we moved away from Waiawa when I was about 7 or 8. We moved into town, but Waiawa became kind of almost mythical to me because it was so wild in the sense that it was not urban, and we lived right on the edge of the gulch, and the kind of access we had to all the neighbors, it was this freedom and this wildness of going in and out of the different bushes to get to so-and-so's house. Whereas once we moved into town, and it was Kahala, which was, more upscale, it just seemed a little more closed off, that kind of freedom.
Yeah. I love how you mentioned, because I know at Leeward Community College we have a lot of students on the Leeward side, and even for me, I noticed that there is a difference, right? In your where you grew up and how it influences you.
It's just so important that I feel very fortunate that I had that. Yeah.
Oh goodness, I know. I always ask authors, do you have any authors or events that influenced your writing?
Thinking about it now, I grew up in a time when I think I was really lucky. It just seemed like as I was growing up in college, in my early 20s, there was really such vibrancy about the American poetry scene, and I had so many, especially female writers to look up to, who were probably about 10 years older than I was at the time. Writers like Louise Gluck, Tess Gallagher, Sharon Olds, and it was so exciting. And at that time I lived in Boston, and so I was able to go to a lot of readings. So I think that kind of was an exciting time. But I think my all-time favorite, I always tell everybody, is Elizabeth Bishop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I somehow, when I encountered her poetry, probably in college, it just became almost suppose you find something that's all you need. You know, I don't need to go searching. I sort of found something that I could go back to my favorite poems of hers and just read them aloud. And it just allowed me to access something that was easy for me to enter my own way of telling a story.
Yeah, I love that.
And I don't know, it's because she does have this kind of narrative sense, and I think a lot of my poetry is narrative.
Yes, yes. And I love how, you know, you're as a woman author, but also as a woman poet and Asian American poet. I know like there are a lot of writers, you know, who came after you who are heavily influenced by your work as well. I was wondering, do you have I know you have so many books of poetry and you have a book of a short story collection. Do you have a favorite short story or poem, and why is that your favorite? Or I know it's hard to select.
I always, you know, sometimes in my mind I think, oh, if I had to do the selected works, I would, you know, I just know which ones I would choose because like the one I want to read today, I realize I think I wrote that almost 40 years ago when I was quite a young woman and I was living alone in Denver. I mean, not alone, but I was living there with my husband. He was at the time working as a resident in Denver General. And so I was alone a lot of the time with my son, who at the time was 3, and my daughter, who was very young. And it was such a foreign place. But I think I wrote a lot of poetry then because I felt there were a lot of conditions that there are times in life that make you write. And the conditions there were sort of being a new mother with no one to help me and being in a very foreign place. Denver was it's quite sophisticated now, but I would say 40 years ago, it felt kind of like a cowboy town.
Sure.
And never seeing my husband because he was always at the hospital. And then also at the same time, you know, kind of going, wow, now I understand about, I used to hear stories about the Chinese immigrants who helped build the railroads. And it didn't hit me until I was experiencing my own homesickness, what that must have been like for these workers who came to work, you know, to help build the Continental Railroad, right? Yes. So that's why I think that poem that I will read really coalesced together a lot of the feelings that I was going through at the time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Because sometimes there's other poems that you're kind of searching for that pull. But this one, it all came together.
Oh my goodness. Do you mind reading
No,
that poem?
I'd love to. So, as I said, this poem was written in the late 80s. And I still enjoy reading it. It's called Heaven. He thinks when we die we'll go to China. Think of it, a Chinese heaven where, except for his blonde hair, the part that belongs to his father, everyone will look like him. China, that blue flower on the map, bluer than the sea, his hand must span like a bridge to reach it, an octave away. I've never seen it. It's as if I can't sing that far. But look, on the map, this black dot. Here is where we live on the pancake plains, just east of the Rockies, on the other side of the clouds, a mile above the sea. The air is so thin you can starve on it. No bamboo trees, but the alpine equivalent, reedy aspen with light, fluttering leaves. Did a boy in Guangzhou dream of this as his last stop? I've heard the trains at night whistling past our yards, what we've come to own, the broken fences, the whiny dog, the rattle-trap cars. It's still the Wild West, mean and grubby, the shootouts and fistfights in the back alley. With my son, the dreamer, and my daughter who was too young to walk, I've sat in this spot and wondered, why here? Why in this short life, this town, this creek they call a river? He had never planned to stay, the boy who helped to build the railroads for $1 a day. He had always meant to go back. When did he finally know that each mile of track led him further away? That he would die in his sleep, dispossessed, having seen Gold Mountain, the icy wind tunneling through it, these landlocked, makeshift ghost towns. It must be in the blood, this notion of returning. It skipped 2 generations, lay fallow, the garden, an unmarked grave. On a spring sweater day, it's as if we remember him. I call to the children. We can see the mountains shimmering blue above the air. If you look really hard, says my son, the dreamer, leaning out from the laundry's rigging, the work shirts fluttering like sails, you can see all the way to heaven.
Oh my goodness, so powerful. Oh my gosh, I love the themes of immigration, but also history, right? And the point of view of the son and how he's so innocent.
So
right?
innocent,
and
yes.
just kind of trying to kind of envision what heaven is like.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And that at the time, you know, hearing about China, okay, that's so far away, so that must be like what heaven is. So a lot of these things that sometimes when you're composing a poem, they're all swirling around you, and it's like a gift. All these elements that are there, they're just swirling around, and you know, you can grab them and weave them into a poem.
Oh, beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you for reading that.
You're very welcome.
Oh, and I know like you also have another poem that I really love about the pineapple fields.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, it's about that wildness of Waiawa, where we really were just like a tribe running around. And in those days, it was so safe. You know, we were like plankton moving in and out. And all the mothers were perfectly okay with it because they knew we were all safe. If we weren't there, we'd be at that Lay's house or at that friend's house. So this poem also talks about then moving to town and how it was such a painful migration. You know, you wouldn't think, but you're only going to East Honolulu, but no, there's something about Waiawa, and everyone says, well, it's sort of, you got to cross a bridge to get to Waiawa, so it is kind of like a different country. And when we left, it was in the 60s, so it probably was. So this also, I think, deals with how growing up in Hawaii, we were always taught that we had to speak proper English.
Yes.
So that I kind of wove into this. And all the things I think we were told as children growing up here, how you wanted to show that you weren't from the pineapple fields. So
I see, yes.
this is what the poem is about. The pineapple fields. Father rescued us from the pineapple fields. We were certain to be lost in the pineapple fields. We were wayward, barefoot, and undisciplined in the pineapple fields. Hunters of mongoose, we wore rags, were red dirt streaked like savages in the pineapple fields. He saved us from living and dying in the pineapple fields. The pineapple fields were a place to flee from, a place plagued with black feathers, blood of the rooster sprayed painted like graffiti across chicken coop houses fenced by a junkyard of cars, cannibalized for parts. Scrawny kids with uku lived in the pineapple fields, kids who by age 6 had as many gold teeth as pool hall uncles down on Hotel Street, teeth gone bad by way of termites, like their untended houses, all of them rotten to the core. The day we left the pineapple fields, Mother cried. Violet, Martha, and Lorraine stood in the driveway of our mildew-infested house to wave goodbye. They gathered communal tears that stung like wedding rice. They bid us farewell. We left the pineapple fields for the city, a haole neighborhood of swimming pools and Filipino gardeners silently trimming a legacy of Sunday morning lawns. No wonder Mother cried. How would she ever keep up? No more morning coffee brewing for talks at Violet's. No more humming of Lorraine's sewing machine, whipping up creamy ball gowns for our dolls. No more Mr. Suzuki shakuhachi sighing through the mock orange hedge. Don't act like you just came from the pineapple fields meant we couldn't wear anything purple, couldn't loop strings of Christmas lights like fishnets around picture windows all year long, couldn't get too dark in the summer, couldn't yell, "Mommy, telephone," at the top of our lungs, couldn't slap our thighs and howl with unbecoming laughter, couldn't beg Mommy for candy at the pharmacy, couldn't pour shoyu on our rice, ketchup on our eggs, couldn't think flamenco's chuck wagon the greatest place to eat anymore. Don't talk like you came from the pineapple fields meant we couldn't talk with our mouths full of broken sentences, couldn't shove ya like food heaped onto spoons. Don't talk like you just came from the pineapple fields meant we had to speak proper English. We remained silent instead, our tongues harnessed by the foreign shoelaces of syntax, restrictive as the new shoes Father brought home for us to wear.
Oh, such a powerful poem. Oh my goodness. And I really appreciate this poem, especially where, like I know a lot of students here appreciate that poem as well because, Leeward Community College, you have a lot of students from Wahewa, Waipahu, from the Leeward side. And, there is a difference, right, from other locations, maybe in town versus Leeward. And oh my goodness, I love the discussion about language and how you're, how you speak, right, and how the proper way and the the pidgin and oh my goodness, it's so strong and I realized that while hearing the poem, there's a lot of things to be proud of on the Leeward side, but then there's also it's sort of like pushed away on the side, like don't do that, right?
Exactly. And the thing that's most valuable is that beautiful community.
Yes.
That loving community, and everyone took care of everybody else's kid, And I think why I wrote a lot about that time, even though I didn't live there, for a great many years, but it was such a time that I look back and everyone says, oh, your Waihua is sort of a mythical, and it is kind of mythical because it represents something so precious and valuable to me.
Oh yeah, it's like I can tell through the memories, it's such a positive memory, that, and you can feel the love.
Yes, and I think Hawaii has it, but in these pockets, like when I go to the Big Island, it's definitely in the Big Island, So it's just maybe these urban areas, and then we lose some of that.
And I know, like in both poems, I can tell that there's a reference to details of history, but also, the discussion of language. So how do you maintain authenticity in terms of historical events, but also language itself?
I don't know if I'm consciously aware of it, but I think I've always been interested in history, and I've always been interested in how we, people of color, how we've been involved in history in that sense, even in terms of Hawaii, and then in the larger scale, but just little things like knowing that it was very horrible World War II, right? But then at the same time, World War II allowed so many of our local men to be able to get that college degree and then to come back. And then once they were educated, they were able to move up into government and teaching. So there are lots of things that are not so black and white. And I've always found that very interesting.
I love how you mentioned how everything is complex, right?
Very
it's not,
complex.
One way or the other. It's like
No.
both, kind, in a way, right?
Yes.
And even when it comes to just writing, like I know in Hawaii, we're just we have the freedom to be ourselves, right?
Yes.
We're women, we're Asian American women,
Yes.
but we can basically write about whatever we want, basically,
Yes.
right? Instead of, I notice sometimes like libraries and publishers, they try to categorize, authors sometimes, but I know everyone is unique and telling their own story in
Yes.
their own way, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Wow. I know, we talk about writing, especially when, visiting various schools and about the writing process. What is your writing process?
I write intensely for short periods.
Yeah.
And then actually I can go for a very long time without any writing and not even feeling the need to write. And then there's the moments when I give myself the time. It's almost like I say, okay, now I'm going to write. Even though I might not really have an idea, but I set aside time, and sometimes you're sitting there at your desk for a long time.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the need to write every day. I know there are writers who make that a habit. They have to sit at the desk.
Oh, I see.
I find every reason not to.
That's a good point, because it can be painful to write. It
It's
takes
very
a lot of
painful.
energy, right?
Yeah, it's very painful. Like, oh no, do I really want to go and look in there? No.
Yeah, that's good point. Yeah, and I know, whenever we ask that question for authors, they always have a different answer. Everyone has their own approach.
Yes,
And I
yes.
love that we're just, write when you feel it. This is the time to write, and you don't have to force yourself to write when
Right,
it's
right,
not the
right.
time, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
And then there are other times where you think, wow, this is such a wonderful time. I should be writing about my grandkids. But no, I have nothing to say about my grandkids. Nothing of that kind of, again, that convergence of things that makes a piece of material, a piece of writing interesting. I haven't found that yet for, say, my grandkids. I don't want it just to be, oh, I love my grandkids, and just on and on. It would just really be soppy and sentimental. I need that. So I think the last time that I really felt this was really with the invasion of Ukraine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And a lot of poems came out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that I maybe that history, and then images that I was able to see and then imagine beyond that. So I kind of have to have those moments of a lot of kind of complexity and conflict.
Oh, goodness. I love how you say that. I know we had Nora Octor-Keller here as well, and she said something similar where there's like an emotional reason, why a certain topic is written about. And when you have that emotional draw, then that's when the writing comes. Like,
Yes, something, really.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Are there any topics that you would not write about? And I ask this for all of the authors.
No.
Yeah. It's basically when you feel the need to write, then you write it.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
great.
Unless I thought it was extremely hurtful.
Oh, yes. Oh, I understand. Yeah. And I know always students ask me this question about writer's block. They're afraid of getting writer's block and how to kind of stop themselves from getting it. Or do you have any cure for writer's block or any advice for that?
I think then you just go, you find ways to just start playing around with language in a way that is fun and not so serious. So some of the writing tricks I used when I was teaching poets in the schools, that's always fun to go back to.
Yeah. Wow. What would be one trick you would recommend?
Well, sometimes it's just like just word mapping. So you just write a word, and another word, what does that lead that to? And then another word. And I would make the kids cover a whole page of words, and then they'd all be astonished that they started with one word, and then all the words that one word gave birth to. And then plucking out a few, and then trying to make something out of that. It can be something as simple as that. It can be reading a passage from a book and just something really interests you, just kind of take that passage out and let that be inspiration. It can be your favorite painting. Just start writing about your favorite painting, because that allows you to at least be descriptive.
I see. Oh my goodness. You know, this is good advice. I know you've written so many books, so many poetry books, and you have a short story collection. How do you sustain that energy to write so many
Well,
books?
I think that's why I only write in these little brief periods, because the rest of the time, you know, I'm just out having a good time. I'm resting, reading. You know, I'm not just this tormented writer, not at all.
I love that. Oh my goodness. I love that.
Even watching Korean drama.
Oh yeah, I like that. Oh my gosh, because I know that there's like this persona, right? A writer's persona, and then there's the what actually happens, right? With writers. Oh, yeah, I love how you like erase that myth about this writer who's always writing, and there's this anguish.
No, this tortured writer. No. What? Meet you at the mall? Okay. Oh, I'll meet you for ramen. No, really, I'm out for a good time.
Oh, love it, love it. Thank you. Oh my gosh. What advice do you have for anyone who wants to be a writer and for anyone who wants to be published?
It's so hard to be published nowadays. Very difficult. I would say, you know, locally, I would say get involved with something like Bamboo Ridge. Start reading Bamboo Ridge, subscribing, supporting local literature, going to their readings, and then submitting or forming your own writing group. But start on the real small level, and not with the idea I want to be published. But you know what? I like fooling around with words. It has to be at that level. I really enjoy playing with words. And, you know, just moving it around, because it's such an odd activity. There's so many other things you could be doing, but to just sit and be writing about words, and then to also worry about, oh gosh, what word should go there, or should I put a comma there, or wow, should I use a dash instead of a colon? You know, these things really do occupy a writer's mind, and if you like to think about those things, then just enjoy that and then let that grow. But I don't think you should think, oh, I want to be published. Start at the small level.
I see. I love how you have that focus on craft. And I can tell you're a poet because it's from the words, from the every little detail. Oh my goodness. And I always ask our guests on the reading room, what are your future plans or projects, anything that you want to share?
No, I mean, I just be very grateful if there's another poem I can write.
Yes. I see. Wow, I love that. Oh goodness. Well, I'm so grateful that your energy for writing, and thank you, Cathy Song, for all of your advice and for sharing everything with us on the reading room.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of the Reading Room.